morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Monday, March 31st. We close out Q1 as investors anxiously await Trump's April tariff deadline after markets took a tumble to close out last week. A mix of concerns about inflation, trade war, and a weakening dollar sent all three major indices into the red. The Dow ended the regular session down 715 points, or about 1.5%. The S&P 500 gave up 112 points, or nearly 2%. The Nasdaq lost 481 points, or 2.7%. Bill, let's get into a new week and Monday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes, good morning, Emily. How are you? I'm watching the S&Ps this morning, and we're showing another bout of negativity. S&Ps are down 1.05% this morning. That's not how we wanted to start today off. We were hoping for that we might get a little bit of a bump, but not happening. Markets are moving low because they're preparing for Trump's tariff announcement on Wednesday. Now, there are multiple reports that came out over this weekend that indicated the tariff announcement is going to be harsher than initially anticipated. Remember, he was saying last week, it won't be so bad for some countries. It'll be in other countries it will, but not all countries. Well, these reports were indicating it's going to be negative on everyone. You look at the S&Ps; they're down over 5% on the year. As of Friday's close. But over the weekend, Trump was also in the news as he indicated he might do more tariffs on Russian oil if a deal is not reached and the war with Ukraine. And then he issued a threat to bomb Iran if an agreement is not made on the nuclear program. So, we got a lot of negative threats and catalysts and geopolitical issues that are really causing this market to be, turning red this morning. And it is a big week for employment data. We got a lot of employment data coming out this week, which, tops off on Friday with the non-farms payroll report, which is scheduled for release. Our earnings, there's some earnings today. Progressive Software, PVH, they're scheduled to report after the bell today. But, let's take a, quick peek at, the global markets. And we're looking at the DAX. The DAX is down 405 points. That's 1.80%. It's preparing for the reciprocal tariff announcement on Wednesday. Real concerns on that automobile industry as well. The FTSE is down 121 points. That's 1.4%. Now, the UK Prime Minister indicated that he had productive talks with President Trump about securing UK exemptions. But Trump does reaffirm his plans to put tariffs on all countries starting April 2nd. Then you look at the CAC. The CAC is down 148 points, or 1.87%. There's a weakness in autos, banks, luxury stocks, you name it. In Asia last night, we also saw a sea of red. The Nikkei fell 1,500 points, 1,502 points, or 4.05%. All sectors were in the red there. Consumer, tech, industrials were really hit the hardest. Hong Kong was down 300 points. That's 1.31%. China was down 0.46%. Manufacturing activity in China did expand in March, which was positive, but still those Trump tariff threats are really causing the markets to show red. And then we're taking a look at oil, and oil, which is trading higher this morning. Why is that? You would think WTI is at $69.61, and Brent is at $74.17. It really comes down to Trump's threat, against Russia. Where he talks about, putting secondary tariffs of 25 to 50% on all Russian oil if he feels that Russia is blocking a peace deal with Ukraine. And then, of course, threatening Iran with bombing, that's not good. That sends oil prices higher. So oil prices are actually muted compared to what they normally would be on a day like today. But I don't know if they'll be able to hold these gains. But a lot of concern going on there in the energy markets. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, you started out that opening saying, sort of a bout of negativity this morning, really following very negative end to the week last week. So you wake up on a Monday morning like this and you ask yourself, what are we going to do throughout the day? Where are we going to continue to look for opportunities? And how are we going to do that? You're doing that using your NewsWare, being able to gather information and data and stay ahead of these events makes it important so that you can be able to still look for opportunities even as we're swimming in this sea of red. And we're going to get through the details here on today's show and throughout the week, a number of key catalysts, as you mentioned. We will start with that earnings action this morning. You did say there are a couple to worth note. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings on this Monday?
Nothing came out this morning or Friday after the close, but after the bell today, you got Progressive Software. That's ticker PRGS, Paul, Richard, Gray, Sam. EPS is $1.04. Expected move is 10.61%. Um, okay, then you have PVH, the retailer, Paul Victor Henry. Their EPS is $3.19, and their expected move is 13.06%. I don't really love either one of them. I mean, both have negative put to call ratios. I mean, I should say positive put to call ratios. You look at the Action Progressive Software on Friday. I mean, 6,890 puts traded versus 137 calls. And you look at PVH, 838 puts traded versus 405 calls. I mean, neither one of them is stellar. I mean, the market is red, but I just don't really, I can't really do anything long on either one of these stocks. So I have concerns. But that's what I have for you in terms of an earnings update announcement, Emily.
Bill, you'll still be keeping an eye on those using your NewsWare and your earnings alert. You also have an alert for economic events. These remain a key indicator as we gather this data and information. And as we both mentioned, those tariff announcements on Wednesday, April 2nd, keeping an eye on them in sort of as part of these economic events. But let's start here with Monday, Bill. What is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
I mean, we get the Chicago PMI that comes out at 9:45 a.m. 10:30 get the Dell's Fed manufacturing survey, but all eyes are going to be looking for tidbits of news with respect to the Trump tariff announcement on Wednesday. I mean, what do we know? I mean, they talk about the Dirty 15, which is really the ones that have the largest trade imbalances with the U.S. I mean, these are countries like China, the EU, Mexico, Vietnam, Japan, India, South Korea, and Canada. Also on the list is Switzerland and Thailand. So we're pretty sure they're going to be hit with tariffs, but we'll see about the other countries. But that's really what the focus is on this week is the tariff announcement for Wednesday, Emily.
Tariffs. That seem to be the only thing that, the news is mentioning that we're all following. But still, beyond these tariff announcements, which are a major catalyst that we are keeping track of, there's still other data and information and news headlines to keep track of. And as you're trying to sift through that, if you don't have a professional newsware like if you don't have a professional news wire like NewsWare, I can't imagine how you're able to sift through and find these other details when the main headlines are all focusing on those Trump tariffs. Bill, you're able to focus on other market moving information because you have NewsWare. You're looking at merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. You group your stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks, and actually, I have 6 higher and 24 lower, so that's not negative. That's I mean, considering the day, I kind of like I'm seeing some positive activity at least somewhere. And then you look at your FANG stocks; they're all trading lower by more than 1%. You look at some of the news behind the tape, like Apple. France is fining Apple 150 million over its iOS data consent rules. Amazon, apparently Amazon and Nokia had a patent argument going on. Well, they reached an agreement, so that's positive for both firms. What else do we have? Tesla, they got their delivery data that's due out on Wednesday, and market's showing some concern on that ahead of time. So we got to be a little cautious there. In terms of Dow Jones 30 news, Boeing. BOC Aviation ordered 50 Boeing 737 MAX jets. Boeing's down 1.78%, but this is positive news. I do like it. Normally, they would cause the stock to move $3-4 higher. And then what else do we have? Apple Apple and Musk are, having a little bit of a tiff over satellite expansion efforts. Apple's looking to expand satellite efforts and investing significantly in satellite-based communications because they want to eliminate cell phone dead spots. This is targeting what some of the things that Musk has to deal with his Starlink. In terms of merger news, COOP, Charlie, Oscar, Paul. This is Mr. Cooper Group. Rocket's going to buy Mr. Cooper Group for $9.4 billion. It's a good deal. In terms of shareholders meetings, hey, AIG, the insurance company, Alpha India Grace, they're having an investors meeting today. So keep an eye on shares of AIG for, some possible press announcements. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, it's the final day of the month, final day of the quarter. There's a lot of red going on out there, but you're still going to look for opportunity. So what is your pick of the day today?
Going with Vodafone, ticker VOD, Victor, Oscar, David. I mean, listen, the thing about Vodafone is that they did have a positive announcement that they're expanding their network into India, which is good news. But, in my feeling, it's like you want to hide out, and one of the good places to hide out on a day like today is telecom, because telecom typically doesn't take the brunt of the hit, because the last thing people cancel during a recession is their cell phone. So those stocks seem to get people, a lot of money continues to flow into them. So I do like Vodafone, and then I look at Friday's call volume for Vodafone, 85,000 versus 610 puts. I mean, that's enormous. Yeah, major brokers don't like the stock. They're not positive on it, but I'm hiding out today, so I'm going to go with Vodafone, and I want to get in $9.25, $9.30, something around there. But that's my pick of the day. Ticker VOD, Victor, Oscar, David, Vodafone, Emily.
Vodafone it is, like you said, hiding out in telecommunications today, looking for opportunity there. And before we sign off today, we will do a check-in on Friday's pick of the day, so stick with us. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
NYSE Texas is opening, Trump media to join. Okay. NASDAQ released a paper for U.S. public markets. I got to read that. Tesla sales in Canada under scrutiny. Goldman lowered its target and increased the odds of a recession to 35% over the weekend. Brands, their CEO, David Gibbs, he's going to be retiring. Trump says TikTok deal could come before Saturday's deadline. Alibaba increased U.S. SME orders 27% at its March Expo. Navarro, ticker NVO, their STRIDE study for Ozempic for type 2 diabetes achieved its primary endpoint. That's positive for the stock. Stock's trading lower, but it is still positive. It's really cheap right now. Lilly had some positive news on one of their drugs over the weekend, too. Disney, the FCC is investigating Disney and its DEI programs to ensure that they comply with FCC rules. Interesting. FAA is going to investigate a close call Friday between a Delta Airlines flight and a U.S. Air Force jet near Reagan, Washington Airport. FBI is probing a cyber attack at Oracle that has led to the theft of patient data. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we hold on to our hats and get to trading on this Monday, let's do a quick check-in on Friday's pick of the day, which was Robinhood. I did see come across my newsware on Friday that Kathy Wood's ARK investment bought 249,000 shares of Robinhood on Friday, so it kind of seemed like her pick of the day as well. It was your pick of the day. How did it work out?
It didn't really. I mean, it wasn't horrible, considering, but the stock opened up at $42.69. But then it did rise. It ran all the way up to 43.02. But that's not 1%. And then it fell with the market, fell all the way down to $40.51, but rallied, back and closed at 41.92. But it didn't do the 1%. But consider the negative action, it wasn't that horrible, but it didn't do the 1% that we were expecting.
could have been worse on a day like Friday. We'll just call that one a wash. Then we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Vodafone pick of the day, see how March ended up. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning this week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.